For those of you who've been here before, that's Michelle. No, and I'm a turtle. No. You've done this drill. Now, the amazing thing about the mind and the crazy thing about the mind is you do things a few times and then your mind says, yeah, no. That's the danger. Yeah, you have to listen with new ears every day to wisdom. You have to listen to yourself with new ears every day. Track the environment with new eyes every day. Feel things as if you're a newborn every day. That's how you wake up. Because the mind tends to go, I've seen that. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think of the implications of that. So this is true of every learning, you know. So think of your motivation. Why are you here specifically? What are you looking for? What's your motivation? What do you want to do with it? You know, because sitting in a room with a bunch of other beautiful people can feel nice, but how can it help you? I mean, I can only share my perspective. You know, and I landed in a crazy Buddhist class, you know, some 15 years ago. It shifted my life. And I hope it shifts yours. I mean, you can't do it the same way it did to me or to the other people around you that you see having incredible experiences on this planet. But if you check your motivation, if you listen with new ears, you can hear the craziest things that you heard before, and they can just pop like you'd never heard them before. And something moves inside you and it pushes you to action to change things in your life, in your inner life and in your outer life that you never thought were possible. And then you start going, that's strange. You know? I hope you have that experience. I mean, you know, I want to, this sounds naughty, I want to undress Buddhism for you if I can. You know, because it's not Buddhism. It's not Islam, you know, it's your life. You walk the planet and we share these experiences. All this is a code for figuring it out. So think of your motivation, and in particular think of your 50% today. Yeah, my 50% is blah blah, to the best of my knowledge, to the best of my ability, from a tradition that spans back 2,500 years of beings trying these things out. We put the label Buddhism, Islam this and Islam that. But there's stuff in here that can wake you up. So your 50% is figuring out how it applies to your story, your Gary, if you've been here before, yeah? Your yelling boss, your immediate unhappiness, your big left foot, whatever it is that your problem is, you know. And remember, Gigo, you know. Do you remember Gigo? What's Gigo?
Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. Good in, good out. Yeah? And that's true for anything. So spend your time recording goodness. Don't be embarrassed. I mean, that's one of the things that held me back for the longest time, being embarrassed. Someone thinks I'm a religious person. You know, I don't think of myself as a religious person. I'm thinking of myself like a, you know, like a shaman scientist dude figuring out this particular continuum, figuring it out. But there was this embarrassment, you know, what will they say if they see me doing this stuff? You know, and when you surrender to that for yourself, you know, to confront the embarrassment or whatever it is, you open up, you move to a different part of you that can be really beautiful. So watch your 50% and just put goodnesses in, goodnesses that are yours. And it's easy to talk, it's hard to act. You have to use these things for something. And in this 2 hours, you get ideas, you get connections to moments in your lives, in your specific streams of being that mean something to you individually. You know, and I wish I could go in there and see them and help, but I can't, no one can, that's the problem, you know. You got to do it for you. So the smallest action now, the tiniest action now, right? A 1 degree bend now in your behavior, in your actions, in your attitude, in your outlook, in whatever. You give it another week and another month and another year, it's a huge difference. Right? It's a huge difference. And you look back and you might not notice, but the people that knew you before, you know, or if you have a good memory, not like me, you might see the difference, you know. It can be massive, a tiny shift today can be massive in a year. I mean, what were you doing a year ago? What were you doing 5 years ago? Really? And how much of the change was intentional? How much of the change was motivated by your motivation and your action and your drive? So the tiniest seed now, and your actions about what you do with the information you get here and here, because there's the rational and the non-rational, the feeling, will make it a massive difference to your life if you allow it, if you allow that. Yeah? Who didn't get one of these? Would you be kind enough to pass it to me? Thanks. Someone miss out? No. Thanks. Okay, let's go. Sivakorlo, Baba Chakra. Don't know what happened there. No. Wheel of life. Okay, Baba Chakra. Does someone know Sanskrit here? Bhava. Good, I can tell you anything. It means give money to Hector. In Sanskrit. Chakra means give the money. Not true. Becoming, yeah? And chakra is wheel, so wheel of becoming. And we just translated as wheel of life, and in Tibetan it's Sipakorlo. Who thinks they can remember the story of how it came about? I'm not going to spend too much time today because I want to jump straight into the 12 links, but I want to check understanding. Who can remember? Bravely. Alejandro.
Two rival kings.
Yeah.
Eventually gave each other gifts to settle their beef with each other, and one king got an amazing thing of armor.
Yep. Awesome.
Fancy
armor.
And the other king didn't know what to give King Drea name.
King Vimpasara, yeah,
King Vimpasara
got the armor, and he thought King Udrayana was outdoing him. Yeah.
Outdoing him. So he finally came up with a shot or a painting of the Buddha, and he gave it to King Drea.
Excellent.
Who came to the scene of it.
Excellent, awesome. So it began by he went to ask the Buddha, what should I give that's priceless, that's worth more than this priceless armor? And the Buddha said, paint a picture of me, that's more priceless. I love that. And so then the Buddha just intervened because they couldn't draw it right, and so he filled in all the other details. So the Buddha ended up there somehow. Yeah, so it's a bloody big painting. I don't know how that happened, but the Buddha put in all the detail and instructed people to put these words and all the detail, and we're learning the pieces of the detail. Yeah. Actually, before we go there, locked in the cycle of dependent origination is what?
Samsara.
It's the wheel of samsara. What samsara mean?
Same suffering.
Suffering. Yeah. Good. So everything in there, from amoeba, cockroaches, elephants, doves, people, hungry ghost, hell realms, demigods, yeah, are locked into the same mode of being. Yeah, there's like 5 gross experiences of being, 5 ways of seeing the pen. Yeah, 5 gross ways of seeing reality. The human way, the animal way, which we just share, and then the wheel says all these other ways, some which we can only confirm, we cannot confirm, but we can deduce. Yeah, either believing in what the Buddha saw, or reading some other scripture, or just by logic saying, surely if there's 2 ways of experiencing reality right now, why would it be limited to 2? Yeah. So if this is not this, the way we think it's this, it can be this and this, depending on who's watching. Why can't it be this, this and this? Yeah. And in fact, we can have so many ways of seeing this in the one realm, in the human realm, without even bothering to add the animal realm. So through logic, you can deduce, well, if there's 2, there could be 3, there could be 20. The Buddha said there's 5 gross ways. Yeah. I talked the last couple of weeks that, so I want to check the motivation for listening to this, you see. And I talked the last couple of weeks about this hope, or this looking at the mystery of life, or looking for the answers to the unanswerable questions of childhood being beaten out of us as we grow up. I've talked about that a couple of times, right? And then I remembered this experiment from Harry Harlow, I think his name is. Do anyone know Harry Harlow? Good. That means give Hector money. No. He was I think he's in the 50s, and he was a scientist, I think in America, who experimented with monkeys, not very ethically, yeah? But there was this one experiment, so he was predominantly trying to identify human behavior through watching other primates behave in a certain way, yeah? And our friend Mike leaving to South Africa to feed monkeys made me think of Harry Harlow. And it gives you an analogy of how we come to behave and see the world through the human realm and never question it. Yeah, so we've created a mode of being in this planet, and in particular in the West, of looking at the world and our way is right. And don't ask a stupid question. Yeah? Because if you ask a stupid question, you don't fit into our world, our worldview. Yeah? So I want to give you this experiment that he did to tell you how similar it is to us, yeah, to being in the human realm. In the experiment, they put 5 monkeys in a room, and they put a ladder, and hanging about that far off the ladder was a bunch of bananas, yeah? And the 5 monkeys, let's see the ladder, see the banana, what do you think happens? They start climbing on each other to go and get the thing. As soon as one monkey touches the ladder, there are freezing water hoses spraying every single monkey, whether they touch the ladder or not. So after 3 or 4 times of any monkey going to touch the ladder to try and climb up, every single one gets hosed, right? What do you think happens after the 4th or 5th time of some monkey trying to reach for the ladder?
To try to find another way to get up there.
No, the other monkeys snatch the shit out of the other ones to not go for the ladder, because they've associated going for the ladder means we're getting sprayed with cold freezing water. Yeah, the hunger doesn't matter as much as the hurt of the water, right? So by now, the bananas are up there, the ladder's there, the monkeys are there, hungry, right? They're not going up the ladder. So then they waited, and nothing happened. Okay. I mean, obviously any monkey tried to go for the ladder, they get bashed. Yeah? So then that stopped. No one did anything. They removed one monkey. They replaced it with a monkey who hadn't had the experience, didn't have that worldview. Yeah? So what do you think that monkey did? What do you think the other monkeys did?
Bashed the hell out of them.
They got mad. Yeah, so much that every time the other monkey attempted, they'd bash him down. Or her, I can't remember the gender. Yeah? So they took a second monkey out that had the experience, and replaced it with a second monkey that had not had the experience, guess what happened? The same. Until they replaced 4 of the original 5 monkeys, and there was only 1 monkey left who had had the original experience. So the new monkey goes up to climb the ladder. They all bash him, to stop them from climbing the ladder. And so finally they remove the last monkey that had the experience. The 5 monkeys in there now know not to climb the ladder. Not one of them has had the experience. Not a single one of them was ever sprayed with water. They just don't know why they can't climb the ladder. So they introduced a 6th monkey who had never had the experience. And the 5 monkeys who don't know why bash the other monkey for trying to climb up the ladder. So that proves something. This is how we get stuff beaten out of us. We don't even know why we look for happiness in the things we look for happiness. We don't even know why the answer's coming back to, Mum, why did Auntie such and such get cancer and such didn't? We don't even know. I mean, nobody knows the answer. They just got beaten down when they couldn't answer it. You know, and even in science, we go, you know, there's a reason for this and a reason for that and a reason for this, and there's no cause for that. Because when you start asking too complex a question, we say we don't know. I mean, it was funny to hear John last night. If you were here last night, about his cousin works at the Hadron Collider.
Yeah, that
was insane. Which we thought was hilarious. Yeah, right? We looked at each other and went, what the? And they were talking about, you know, particles popping into existence and out of existence. You know, and why? What's the probability of a body this size, this much particles popping up? And the guy said probability 0, you know, the scientist. So, I mean, at some point, even in our most advanced thinking as beings on the planet, we don't know, but we act like we do, like the monkeys. So we condition our society, our creatures, our monkeys, to not ask important questions that are born in us. I mean, we want to know these things. Why? Why do things work a certain way? Why do good things happen to bad people, and vice versa? So the wheel of life looks to explain the most ultimate way of that. So quickly, what's the Buddha mean?
There's a path.
There's a path. What's the moon mean? Nirvana, great, which is what?
Cessation, mental affliction.
Yeah, it means your hurt stops. Yeah, that's what it means, hurt stops. What's this inscription mean?
Instruction.
Instructions on how to get there. What's that ring mean?
12
The 12 links of dependent origination, meaning what? I mean, simple language. Cause and effect. Causes of suffering, yeah? Good. This happens, that happens, that happens. You get sick, you get old, you die. Yeah? We'll cover that again today. What about inside that wheel? What's locked in the wheel?
The realms.
The realms, the different ways of looking at reality. Not real realms, like a dog out there, a ghost over there, a human over there. Yeah? Not that. Shift in perceptions about this world. Yeah? If we were to pull ourselves out of the limited view we have of our spectrum, this tiny spectrum of the world we see through these limited senses, if we could just see the entire spectrum of ultraviolet and UV and the rest, and see entirely reality, yeah? Get a glimpse of that. An analogy for seeing emptiness directly, the true nature behind the stuff, yeah? Anyway, no. What's in the center, the engine? I just don't want to get lost, I want to get to my point today. The 3 poisons, what the hell does that mean? Sorry?
Ignorant, liking, and disliking, and ignorance.
Excellent. Ignorance, which is
The not knowing where things come from.
awesome, which is the pig. Ignorant liking, which is which animal? Chicken, yeah, or the rooster or the duck, whatever that gets painted. Why? Why that animal? Pecking, want. Also because it reproduces, right? You could put a rabbit. Yeah. Don't. and ignorant disliking. Snake. Why? Why the snake?
Sheds its skin.
Sheds its skin, doesn't want. Yeah, so we see by association with images. But what do they represent for you? What does it mean to you?
There's like ignorant liking would be that you would think that an object holds intrinsically from its own side some aspect of desirability, and in order to be happy you have to have that thing, and then the opposite for ignorant disliking.
Yeah.
And then ignorance is just not knowing where things come from.
Beautiful, excellent. It's the. How often does that happen?
All the time.
All the bloody time. Yeah. Non-stop. It's the engine that keeps this thing going. 65 times a finger snap, a millisecond, according to books. Yeah. What if it's 68 times?
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't really matter, you know. It's a lot. Every day. It's like we started the conversation today. If you don't listen with new ears and look with new eyes, you forget. That is so ingrained in our nature. Yeah, that ignorance is the first thing that appears on the wheel. That's the first thing that we're born with. Maitreya said it's a buckshot that we've had from time without beginning. It's the three main states of mind that everything else comes from. All the other states of mind: jealousy, hatred, passion. All of them come from these two. All of them. And then the donut. Bardo. Awesome. Yeah, we'll talk about that today. Yeah. Okay. Tangpo Marikpa. What's Tangpo mean? Link 1. What's Marikpa mean? Ignorance. Yeah? Why is it ignorance? I want you to tell me the picture. We'll go quickly through this.
Blind woman.
Why blind? Blind about what?
The true nature of reality.
The true nature of reality. The big spectrum. Yeah? Is someone warm? Are you warm? Anyone warm?
Are you warm?
I'm a little warm, but not if you're not. You're a little warm? Yeah? Is it self-existently warm? No? Can we self-existently turn it on?
Yes.
Yeah. Yay! Yay! Thank you. I'll talk louder. So not knowing the true nature of things, which is things don't have a nature from their own side. Yeah? Which is the pig. It's the same thing. The pig and the blind lady are the same thing. They're just about, one's about causality, one's a core state of mind. Okay? Then the next one is Duce Kile, which is?
Immature karma.
What's the drawing? What's the guy making pots, right? Could be a chick making pots, yeah? It's just not smoking pot. What do the pots symbolize? How many pots are they making?
65.
Excellent. Oh, you're better than me. Awesome. I wouldn't have thought about that. Great. Lots and lots of pots. All the time. Yeah? Well, what's the next one? Huh? Monkey. Monkey where?
Your house.
Yeah, usually have it around the house or in the house. In this drawing it's in a tree. But why monkey? It's your mind. What aspect of your mind? Excellent. It's your awareness. It's your core awareness, right? How do I put it? We'll talk about it later, because remember I said there's about 4 different ways of explaining links, the 12 links. I'll go into detail about one of them later. And then, so the 6 windows in the house are what? 6 doors. So they represent, he's not in the house. You see he's outside the house. He's not in the house. This is just your raw awareness, not in your mind yet, not in your body yet, yeah? So then we have name and form. Say Mingzuk. Mingzuk. What is it? What's the painting?
Back and forth.
What does this mean?
Back and forth, death.
Excellent. It's actually
Reborn.
this body and this mind. This is your vessel, your boat, yeah, going from shore to shore. Which shore? The last life you had to the end of this life you're going to have now. Sometimes I get this sense about why certain things happening to me, right? And I try and apply this correct view. I try and apply this view of things. And I imagine some being, not Hector, like I know Hector, the habituation of this mind before it was stuffed into this thing, or experiencing this thing, sorry I said that wrong, right? Before it looked like this, that being did stuff that recorded in the video camera of the mind and created certain habits and imprints that I am forced to experience. You know this. You have core patterns in your life. Where did they come from? You can't say they're all from mum and dad, because then all your siblings should have the same. Oh, but the circumstances. I mean, they've done experiments on twins, you know, identical twins. You know it's not genetics. People have different perceptions. Their mind is forcing them to experience life differently. Some amazing person that wasn't this Hector gave me some incredible habits to sit here today. They also gave me some really shitty ones, really bad ones. Yeah, that I keep seeing the world in that way, interpreting things in that way. Yeah? If you've got some of those patterns and you're self-aware enough, think that somebody sent you that as a present, unwittingly. And every action you do, every single action you do of mind or of body, you are recording a videotape library for this other being. You don't even know what they look like. They're going to take that boat and they're going to experience habits. You can send them a present. Really think about that. You're building the future of somebody else. If you're lucky enough to go into the secret teachings, you can experience that future yourself as you think you look like now. Yeah. But if we're going to continue here, you're forcing that next being to have an experience. And I hope it's good. Do you see this name and form what it is? Yeah, at this point it's stuffed in there. The mind is in this. Yeah, already laden with those pots. They should have put the pots in it and the monkey.
The pots and the monkey.
Now I'm telling them how to do the wheel of life. Get your drum. What's that?
Sense powers.
Sense powers. What are they really though? What are they? What do they represent here? These are the physical cells at the back of your eye, the actual matter that records or that accepts photons, yeah? The actual cells inside your eardrum that actually manages the vibration, yeah? They knew this to us 500 years ago. They detail them about the cells at the back of your sense organs, the buds of taste, the sensors on the skin, yeah? The capacity for that, the stuff that records that, is developed here. We'll talk about how they develop later. And so that's why it's an empty house. Hi. Yeah. You have to speak up.
I have one question before we want to move on to ancient thought. So you talk about like the five senses.
Six.
The six senses.
So we have taste, smell, touch, sight, hearing, and your mind. Yeah, your perception, your consciousness, yeah, is thought of as a sense. Your mind. Bless you. Then we have contract. That's a joke. Contact. It means give Hector money. No. Rekpa. What's it mean? Contact.
Mind and your body.
You have to yell.
Your mind and your body come together.
No. But thanks for trying.
Yeah.
You see, that's what. Don't try. Yeah. Because you're not going to learn it when you walk out.
Is it when the sense makes contact with a sense object?
Yeah.
Object.
You have an object in front of you. Yeah. Now that you have a mind and you have a body, so you have your name and form. Yeah. You have the monkey. You have consciousness. You have your sense powers. That body has cells to perceive stuff. Now you're a good machine for stuff. Do you see it?
Yes.
Yeah? So going back to link number 1, Maitreya says, your mind comes in pre-programmed with maripa, with ignorance. You're going to see stuff the wrong way. That's what he's saying. Yeah? It's already got some pots in there. You've already got some habits, yeah, of looking at ways in a certain way. That was the present from the dudes and dudesses before you. Yeah?
Yeah.
So now you've jumped into this life. There's 3 lifetimes in one explanation of this 12 links. Don't get bogged down by that. Just follow my logic for a second. Yeah, so now you have your raw awareness laden with ignorance and some habits. You have your raw awareness. Yeah, we there? Mr. Awareness, yeah? Laden with ignorance and some habits. So you have awareness. It's not attached to anything. This is like micro milliseconds of existence. That awareness at this point is conception. It goes into the womb, yeah, the egg and sperm touch, and you have name and form. Your mind has a vessel to travel through this life. It's that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, when it was a couple of cells. Yeah? It has sense powers. Yeah? It can read stuff. It's got the capacity for it, sorry. And it's got rekpa. Now there's an object here, it's made contact. Yeah? So the contact between your sense powers, this object, and your mind create the next link, which is feeling.
I have a question though about, like, the picture for Rekpa is, and I know it's a man and a lady,
Could be 2 guys.
or 2 fellas, or
It's not. It's a man. Yeah, go.
whatever. But so how, I don't see how that is like, is that just the is that like the consciousness and the
And the sense powers.
right, but like what are the 2 things making contact? What is the male symbolizing and the female symbolizing? Which
I
parts
don't know. All the original drawing was they were kissing.
Oh.
They weren't sleeping together. There is no, that I'm aware of, there's no hidden meaning to how it changed into them being bedded. Yeah. So the original, I think someone thought, oh, this is good. You know, they're kissing. Oh, let's make it a bit, raunchier. Sex sells. Yeah, exactly.
We gotta sell more.
Oh, let's make more money. No, it was just kissing. Yeah, initially. It's very simplistic. It's like
Contact.
Yeah, contact between your consciousness, this, and your sense powers. Now you can have a
Glass of water.
feeling. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can have a feeling about it. You either like it, don't like it, or you're neutral about it.
But it's an ignorant feeling.
Awesome. It's a totally ignorant feeling. Why?
Because it all came from ignorance.
It all came from ignorance. Awesome. You got it. Yeah? Fantastic. You want to sit here? No. Fantastic. Because let's talk about it. Yeah? Let's just peel away. If you can slow down time really tiny fragments of time, yeah? And get your sense powers on this object. Really look at this object. Be aware of what this object is. Your mind is being aware of what this object is, yeah? Now follow me for a second. Remove the mind awareness of it. What does your eye see?
Colors and shapes.
Shapes like,
Yeah? Describe it to me, I guess, if you had to describe the shape.
Cylinder.
Cylindrical, transparent, movable liquid. Yeah, because I've got the shakes. Yeah. Anyway, I can't do any of those jokes. Check the cylinder. Is your eye really? Can your eye really see the cylinder? No, right? It sees this curvy thing, and then it sees this thing, and then it sees that thing. Who's making it a cylinder?
Old minded.
Yeah, the pots and the ignorance. A is thinking it's out here, and B, it's imputing on this what you already labeled. Now, it's impossible today as for me to tell you to describe something from your mind without having your mind attached to it, right? But try and think of what your sense power, your eyeball, is seeing. Imagine it. Because if you're going to say rectangle with an oval thing here, the eye cannot see a rectangle. How can the eye see a rectangle? The actual ball of your eye. How can it send a signal to the brain to say rectangle? How can the eye know rectangle? Or long? Forget that. Are you looking at the top of the glass or the bottom of the glass? Because when you look at the bottom of the glass, you're not looking at the top of the glass. Really try. Like, if you've done it before, look at it with new eyes. Really try. Because you're going to get a hint of how much we are habituated, like those monkeys, to have a certain view of this thing. We don't even question it. The dog does not see what you see. You think they do. The new monkeys don't see what you saw. We beat them into it. Think about it. It's so ingrained, it's so difficult to peel away from it. So be aware that if you had a taste of that, that's wisdom. That's smashing ignorance. It's not super easy. But once you're there, it's like an elephant crushing a house of reeds. So obvious. So you get a feeling about it. So now you have your full equipment. You're a being and you're having contact with stuff. The sound of the air conditioner is the same. The sensation of the cushion on your butt is the same. The thoughts are the same as that. Yeah? So you have a feeling about all these things. They're happening so fast, just grabbing onto one, the glass, and you're forgetting all the other ones. So fast, 65. Yeah? It seems like an impossible task. Why do you think people go to meditate? For 3 years. Shut it all down, slow it down a little. Focus on something. Try and generate a new habit that does not have ignorance. So what happens, and we only touched on this last week, once you get a feeling about something that's either positive, negative or neutral, you get a
Desire.
yeah, an initial desire, a soft desire.
And wanting.
Yeah, I like it. I'd rather say I like it. Yeah? Oh, I like that water. It's nice. Yeah. So why is the drawing of a guy drinking beer? What's the analogy here? Because we got the analogy of the monkey in a house locked into the six senses, going from window to window to window.
Wanting more? Desiring for more?
Excellent. So what does alcohol do to you?
Dulls
It dulls you. What did you say? You mumbled.
I said lose your inhibition.
Totally. It lowers your inhibitions. Inhibitions for what? I mean, is alcohol bad from its own side? No. But if you're trying to figure out reality, and you saw how hard it is to do that, right? Then do you think alcohol is going to help? Oh, I think it's on the left, whatever. Yeah. I mean, the idea here is it lowers your inhibitions. Yeah, it just sort of gives you a stupor. It dulls your mind. You can't be sharp about things. You're not going to be able to get what's sitting behind this code, why you're seeing it this way, if you're like that. So you have a sensation, you have a feeling, and you have a desire for that thing because of the feeling, because you think it's out here as a glass with ignorance of whatever it is. So you think it's got the power to give you what that feeling hinted at. What else? I'll give you the traditional, there's a classical explanation of the desire, the initial desire. So there's three forms. The desire from to be released from fear or ugly objects, so to be the desire to be away from bad things. Yeah? So that's one. The desire for no release from beautiful objects. Yeah? The desire to be close to stuff that you find sexy. Yeah? And the desire or attachment to the body. Yeah? So that feeling that if you're standing at the edge of a cliff and your best friend comes from behind you and goes, "Tell your mum I saved you," you know, and you get that jolt. That desire. This is my body, you know, you get that feeling, that inertia, that desire. Yeah? So the three desires, the three classical explanations of this initial desire are so the attachment to the body, awesome, we're going in reverse.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Surrounding yourself with beautiful things.
The wanting of beautiful things, the desire for being not being detached from beautiful things. Yeah? And lastly, or firstly,
Rejection of
bad things. Want to be away from ugly things. Do they look similar to anything else you've seen in the Wheel of Life? Maybe. The first two do. So then you get a sip for alcohol. Yeah? You have a nice, and then what happens? You get strong desire. This shit's good, man. Yeah? So I'm having more of that. Yeah? You go from liking it to wanting it, to craving it, grasping at it. Yeah? This one, and these are called the two nasties. Remember in that nursery rhyme that I didn't remember? Yeah. The two nasties. Yeah, these do something to the whole line of energy that's coming from ignorance. Yeah, all those karmas, all that you that's coming up to this point, you start charging them up. Because you start acting on this desire. You start having grasping about it. You start having like a habitual pattern. This is the present you send to the person that's, or the presents you received from the last being that had your consciousness. I mean, I don't know if I can put it that way. So why is it a monkey jumping up on a tree grabbing fruit? Yeah, no restraint. He's just a crazy monkey, and it takes you to action. Yeah, you're actually going to get up off your ass and grab that thing. Yeah, you've had enough of that wine, and you're like, yeah, I like that. I'm grabbing it. I'm wanting it. It's outside of me. You're totally ignorant about it. It's outside of me. It's going to make me happy. I'm going to go grab it. That action with that external object in brackets, yeah, does something. There's four classical explanations of this grasping, because you develop a taste for things. This is attachment to beauty, you know, wanting to be around lots of beautiful things all the time, yeah? But an attachment to it, an ignorant attachment. Yeah, I saw this, I experienced myself seeing this guy down the street today. I had to use the right language. And he looked like a catalogue, had just attacked him. He had the right hat and the right t-shirt with the right slant, with the right bags, with 3 bags on each side, the paper bags just perfectly creased. One was Gucci, one was something else. The shoes were perfect. The belt was, the buckle of the belt was just to the side. You know, it was just lovely. He was perfect. Yeah. It just made me think of this attachment to beauty, that it's going to make me happy. You know, and I remembered being in my 20s, wanting to be a fashion designer or whatever it was that I thought was going to get me my happiness. You know. And just being obsessed with that stuff, you know. I have to look right. I have to believe in the ads, you know. And look how beautiful it made me.
Well, he made you happy.
He made me happy. Yeah. Yeah. No, I knew he was gonna be in the class tonight. So attachment to beauty, attachment to wrong beliefs, wrong patterns, wrong understanding, thinking things come from out here, yeah? Clinging to a self-existent I and holding the belief that non-virtues can get you liberation. What that means from the scriptural side means that thinking that doing certain sexual acts and the rest will actually get you free. It's like, man, if I get stoned enough times or have enough ayahuasca and whatever, I'm just going to be totally liberated. Yeah, it's having that. So they're the 4: attachment to beauty, to wrong views, to clinging to self-existent I, and to non-virtues getting you out of this wheel of suffering. They're the classical explanations, but what it means here is that the karmas that are coming up to this point, and these are second-to-second existences, yeah, are being charged up, are being laden with more and more patterns. And then we have link 10, which is becoming. We didn't do this last week, yeah. This and becoming, Geshe Michael says, isn't quite the right translation. It's more like activated karma, or ripening. It's yet to ripen. What's the picture? Sorry.
Pregnant woman.
It's a pregnant woman, yeah? You may as well put an egg. It doesn't matter. It's not, it's just something ready to burst. It's not, so the pregnant woman gives you an idea that there's already been conception, right? But it's not that. It's something ready to pop out, ready to burst. It's an egg ready to hatch. This is a really important one, and how can you tell it's a really important one from the name? Chupa Sipa, or Bhava in Sanskrit.
Part of the title of the book.
Exactly, it's the title of the wheel. Yeah, the wheel of life is Sipa Korlo. Yeah, you have Chupa Sipa here. Yeah, becoming, the wheel of becoming, Bhava in Sanskrit. There's something very important about this link. And in one of the explanations, which looks at the wheel of life over 3 lifetimes, which is the one we've mainly been talking about, yeah, it is the seed that will produce your next life. Yeah, this is. Yeah. So let's go from link 1 and link 2 are your former life in one explanation. Yeah. So you got ignorance or karma or immature karma or conditioning from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Yeah. So that's what Maitreya says. You come into this experience with. This next few are all this current life you're living in. You have your consciousness stuffed into this boat, experienced as this name and form in this boat that we're traveling on from shore to shore. It's got its sense powers, it's developed, it can experience objects, it has contact with those objects, you get feelings about those objects, you get to like them or dislike them, and then you go for them. Yeah? Which produce this becoming. And this becoming is another type of karma. Yeah, there's two karmas on the wheel of life. Which is the first karma? Link number 2. What's it called? Fresh karma or immature karma. How many of those do we plant in our consciousness every millisecond? 65. Assume that's correct. Yeah? 65. Assume that's correct. There's no time to verify or discuss or whatever. Whatever it is, it's a lot. Your mind is recording 65 very distinct experiences. It's living 65 distinct experiences every finger snap. In fact, this is a karma, and 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 it looks like this. Your body is like that. Your living is like that. Your breathing is like that. All these things are karmas ripening according to this belief system. Yeah, and every time one of those things ripens, you are planting another karma because you're watching yourself act or think or do something. And like seeds, they multiply by a factor of 2 or whatever it is, but to the power of 2. They say the first day, one of those 65 turns into 16. By the second day, it goes to the power of 2, which is 32 or whatever it is, and the rest. Whatever it is you've planted a seed, it's turned into a tree, it's laden with fruit, it drops a bunch of seeds and turns into a forest. The longer those karmas sit with you, the more of that type of experience you're going to have, the kind of forest. A rainforest, a desert forest. I don't know what you're planting. So we have grasping leading to becoming, and this one seed is like an atomic bomb according to this explanation of past and future lives. Because out of the millions and billions of seeds, the recordings, the experiences you've planted through your actions in this world, one of them, just one of them, a single one of them will produce your future existence, the type of being, which of the realms. Will you be a human or experience this as an animal? Just one of those is the main cause. They call it the projecting karma, that projects this mind into the next life with a certain type of, I guess it's like an outline, and the professional tanka painters, the master painters will paint their outline, and then the finishing karma, or all the other secondary karmas, fill in the detail. So you're going to be a human. You're going to be fat, you're going to be skinny, you're going to be tall, you're going to be thin, you're going to be nice all the time or not nice all the time, and all the other karmas fill in the detail of this predominant one karma. That's why it's like an atomic bomb, because it is the karma that pops you into your next life at that very moment of death. Remember I talked, I think 2 classes back, about the moment where you realize it's not a game. Someone says to you, you've got a terminal illness, or you've had a car accident, whatever. At some point, your mind goes into some denial. This isn't really happening. I'll beat it. It won't get me. Yeah, your mind instantly goes into, that's not for me. It can't be. Because I'm alive today, and I'm alive today, and I'm alive today. And then at some point, you get a shift in perception that says, not today. No more today. And you fight it. Your instinct, your first instinct is rejection. That's not going to happen. Then, If it takes time, let's say it's an illness, you'll go to the doctor, you'll try a specialist and this and that. At some point, you'll come to the realization that it's coming and you'll accept it. Yeah? And then you actually have the process. And in that process, your mind starts grasping. And it can only grasp to all the other stuff that you've put in there, or the ego. That's the only data it's got. You're not going to suddenly realize that, oh, I could have this experience now. You're scared shitless. We'll talk about that from a little text, from a big text actually, from Pabonka Rinpoche when we come back from break. At that point, where your mind starts realizing this is it, one of those millions of karmas that you've been planting all your life becomes the dominant karma that decides where you end up. And it depends on a few factors. We're going to look at Pabonka Rinpoche's,
Like your mind at the time of death.
Your mind at the time of death, just before it goes. Remember I talked about some stages of death. At some point from that denial you go to acceptance, and then you start peeling away and you watch your consciousness remove itself. I didn't talk much about the Bardo, but that's where you're heading for a bit. Yep. And then you actually go into some hallucinations. Before the hallucinations, where you are very lost, you have some control of your mind still. You can still have some cognition like you've got today to say, oh, I understand that. That doesn't make sense. What does that mean? Your ability to ask that question proves that you've got some capacity of your mind. Yeah? At the moment of death, or just before the moment of death, you start losing that capacity because it's breaking down. You can't move the fingers. Your mind's going into short circuit. The brain is disintegrated. Stuff isn't moving. So you're only left with intuition. You're only left with, it's like habits. Yeah? Whatever habits you've got start swirling at the top of this pot, if you like, and all the balls of karma are up there. The ones that are strongest, the ones that are most habitual, the ones more likely to pop. They're dependent on something else as well. They get charged up by something else as well. We'll talk about that in two bit. In essence, your mind grabs one of them as, or it's one of them that dictates whether you're going to look like that, or like that, or like this.
Why wouldn't it just be like you would think it's more of a combination, because if it's karma, I mean physical, and I mean there's just so many factors, right?
Excellent. No, good question. Yeah, the general outline of the type of being can only be one karma, and the rest, yeah, the skin and the bone and the this and that, all the finishing karmas, they are also a collection of your karmas. Correct. You're absolutely correct. But one projects the main type of thing. Why? Because see the continuum you think you have now as a body, as a human, yeah? Because of that. Because we maintain this idea that we're still this one thing, it must come from the one karma. Because you still think you're that person you were 5. You know, I still have that idea that was me. So that continuum must have one cause. The continuum for this life is got the projecting karma that makes us into the idea of a dog or the idea of a human. So that's the outline, if you like, the big outline. Then the detail has to have a whole bunch of thousands of karmas that are forever changing. We'll talk about that when we come back. Let's have some break. Yeah? Any questions other than a really good one?
Where again does the 65 number come from? 65 karmas
per second. It comes from the Abhidharma Kosha, which is a text, a Buddhist text from the 12th century, 13th century. Yeah. So I can't verify it. Yeah.
I like to think of it as like a frame rate, with like a video camera.
I was just wondering where the number came from. I've heard
Yeah.
so many times.
Yeah, it's just a lot. But
Yeah.
the number is written somewhere in some sutra.
Okay.
It is like the same actually as like a standard like slightly slow motion video camera speed.
Yeah, it's like the old movie projectors. You know, you frame, you run them together, it
Run
looks
it all
like a
together.
movie experience. Yeah. Again, these are just metaphors. Don't get stuck on the metaphors. They're telling you something. Yeah? Let's have a break and be back. If we can be back here at 8:30, I've got a bit to cover. Yeah? Thank you. Did you have water?
Hi.
Yeah?
How are you?
Yeah. Good. How are you?
Samuel.
Me too.
You,
Oh, I'm sorry.
stop recording first.